Welcome to this daily PBJ devotional. Read Leviticus 24, Isaiah 22, and Proverbs 11, 1 through 18 today. This devotional is about Leviticus 24. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Command the Israelites to bring you pure oil of pressed olives for the light, to keep the lamps burning continually, outside the veil of the testimony in the tent of meeting. Aaron is to tend the lamps continually before the Lord from evening until morning. This is to be a permanent statute for the generations to come. He shall tend the lamps on the pure gold lampstand before the Lord continually. You are also to take fine flour and bake 12 loaves, using 2/10 of an ephah for each loaf, and set them in 2 rows, 6 per row, on the table of pure gold before the Lord. And you are to place pure frankincense near each row, so that it may serve as a memorial portion for the bread, a food offering for the Lord. Every Sabbath day the bread is to be set out before the Lord on behalf of the Israelites, as a permanent covenant. It belongs to Aaron and his sons, who are to eat it in a holy place, for it is to him a most holy part of the food offerings to the Lord, his portion forever." Now the son of an Israelite mother and an Egyptian father went out among the Israelites, and a fight broke out in the camp between him and an Israelite. The son of the Israelite woman blasphemed the name with a curse. So they brought him to Moses. His mother's name was Shelomith, daughter of Dibri, of the tribe of Dan. They placed him in custody until the will of the Lord should be made clear to them. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Take the blasphemer outside the camp, and have all who heard him lay their hands on his head. Then have the whole assembly stone him. And you are to tell the Israelites, if anyone curses his God, he shall bear the consequences of his sin. Whoever blasphemes the name of the Lord must surely be put to death. The whole assembly must surely stone him, whether he is a foreign resident or native. If he blasphemes the name, he must be put to death. And if a man takes the life of anyone else, he must surely be put to death. Whoever kills an animal must make restitution, life for life. If anyone injures his neighbor, whatever he has done must be done to him. Fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Just as he injured the other person, the same must be inflicted on him. Whoever kills an animal must make restitution, but whoever kills a man must be put to death. You are to have the same standard of law for the foreign resident and the native, for I am the Lord your God." Then Moses spoke to the Israelites, and they took the blasphemer outside the camp and stoned him. So the Israelites did as the Lord had commanded Moses. This is God's word. It is common for skeptics of our faith to point to Old Testament passages like the one we have here in the latter part of Leviticus 24, and then condemn the Bible for being violent and brutal. In this case, the man who was executed was guilty of blasphemy. In our world, that sin is highly accepted. It happens all the time, and it's even protected legally as free speech here in America. But Israel was a theocracy, and her worship was important for several reasons, and it deserved to be protected. Leaving aside the offense, note how Israel's legal system, as illustrated here, is superior to ours in some ways. First, according to verse 16, the entire assembly must stone them. Those are the words of the NIV in verse 16. The whole community was required to participate in the punishment, not someone paid to give lethal injection in private somewhere, as happens in our country. There are at least 2 benefits to the entire community being involved. First, it protects someone against a false accusation. If you had to be part of executing a death sentence against your neighbor, the seriousness of taking his life would, I think, cause you to question intensely any witnesses to his offense. You would want to make absolutely sure that he was guilty before you took part in his execution. It's easy to accuse someone falsely, and in the case of a jury, to convict someone wrongly if you don't actually have to do the dirty work of imposing the sentence of death on the accused. A second advantage is this: if the whole community must execute the sentence of capital punishment, it might actually serve as a deterrent for many people. When you see how brutal and painful death by stoning is, you'll be more careful about committing a capital offense yourself, lest you end up like the guy you just passed a sentence on. More broadly, however, notice that there is no penalty of prison in Israel's justice system. If you broke the law, you paid the price. That price might be a simple fine, or it might cost you your life. But either way, it will be over shortly. In Israel's system, there's no wasting the years of productivity of someone's life while that person rots in prison. If you were guilty of breaking the law, the penalty was paid immediately. You either go on with your life, or life goes on without you. There is no limbo where the state takes over custody of you for a few years or for many years. Think about how much money is spent in our society investigating crime, taking criminals to court, processing them when they're sentenced, paying for food, clothing, and shelter while they're in prison, and so on. Israel's system is much cheaper, and in the long run, more in keeping with prosperity than our system is. Thirdly, Israel's system strives for justice that is proportional to the crime. If someone punches you in the face and you lose your eyesight, you are not allowed to kill that person. An eye for an eye is not a metaphor. It's a lesson. And here's the lesson. God is just, and he commands his people to do justice, but in proportion to the crime. That is what is being described in verses 17 through 22. Criminal justice reform is an issue that is debated in our society. The principles illustrated here in Leviticus 24 offer guidance that should be considered whenever our society or any society attaches penalties to breaking the law. Ordinarily, these devotionals don't talk about civic matters, they talk about personal matters, your own personal faith and walk with God. But we need to understand that God's word also lays out the principles for a just and righteous society. And we should seek to live by them, and even when we have the opportunity, to enact them into law so that our society will be a just and righteous society. Now, I don't know if there are any lawmakers in this audience, but at some point in your life, you may be appointed to serve on a jury, and if so, you need to think about what it means to do justice, to seek truth, and to impose a sentence that is proportional to the crime. So I hope this devotional helps you think about that, and I'll see you next time. May God bless you. Hope you have a great day today.